こんにちは。これからフィンチ家の奇妙な屋敷で起きたことのプレイを始めていきたいと思います。このゲームは初めてやるので、正直なところやり方さっぱりわからないんですけれども、まずはオプションを確認させていただきますね。まあ大丈夫でしょう。他に向かっているところで行こうかな。
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house.
とりあえず、事の始まり、つまり家のから走ることはできなさそうですね。
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
家の半分は立ち入りが許されてなかった。
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
7年前。
I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
なんというか、ちょっとデトロイトというか、そういった系のイメージがありますね。
In a row, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked.
鍵はある。
Maybe she thought I'd know, or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
かもしれない。ザ・フィンチ。なんか広そうな道と狭そうな。こういうのね、なんかこういう方に行きたくなってしまうのが男の差がというもんでございます。RPG じゃねえんだから、こういったところに宝箱なんかないっていうのは分かっているんだけれども、やっぱり行きたくなっちゃう。なんだなっていうか、案外行けたけどな、やっぱなんもないよな。ほい、じゃあ、それでは、
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it.
家を
But
相
now I had
続した。
questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to. The woods around the house have always been uncomfortably silent, as if they're about to say something but never do.
何かが言いたそうな静けさ。なんかこの音とかがすごくホラー感があるというか、これさっきの道がこれだよね。ってことは帰ってきたという。
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
なんかすごい面白い家の立ち方してるけれども、右上のあれはもう大丈夫なのかな。
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words.
落ち着かなくさせた。ミッシング、行方不明といったところか。しかも同じ紙が大量に貼られていると。貼られているというか、落ちているですな。
Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
いやー、確かにこんな家は相続できても入りたくはないね。これは正面から行くべきなのか、 案外こう裏口があったりするもんだけど、あ、これ車用の出口だね。さらに奥がありそうだなと。
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
やってもうた。
The power had been turned off the night we left.
こう裏口から入るのが好きなんでね、案外この表行ったら表は入れませんとか言われたのかもしれませんが、まあ仕方ないね。ちょっと怖いからこういうノコギリを持っておきたいんだけどな。これバイオ7とかなんか出てきそうですよね。
For the first time in years,
久しぶりにジャニュアリー2010。
I felt like I was home.
家にいる気分がした。
But instead of a family, there were just memories of one.
記憶なんだけど。
Like how after Lewis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
めちゃくちゃありますな。さて。
Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it. Like a smile with too many teeth. My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive.
あ、さっきの落ちてる紙たちはあれか。お兄さんのやつってことですね。
Edie told me once that every Finch who ever lived is buried somewhere in the library.
なんかここの鍵、でもなんかすごい鉄格子的なので、左から。
The table was still a wreck from the night we left.
確かにこの生活感がある中で何もっていう状況だから本当に車椅子ね。
It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture. My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great Grandma Edie living in a nursing home.
メイトン。これあれだね、イーディおばあちゃんって一番下の人だね。あれが家系図っぽいっていうのは分かってきたが、すごい大きなテレビ。
Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house after it sank.
イーディ、イーディ、イーディ。ばあちゃんか。地下に行くか。
Great Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
ああ、そのひいおじいちゃんがこの魔境というかを作ったわけ。地下
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
いい反発覗き穴を開けた。あ、だから下のあれも家で、これもモリーの部屋で、 母さんは、これはエディとセベン。カルビンのブログ、読み方わかんねえけど、それの部屋っていうわけか。部屋っちゅうか、空いてねえと。バーバラ。とりあえず入れそうな。
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room.
ウォルター・オー
I
お
think
じ
my
さん。
mom sometimes regretted
母さ
not
んその
sealing
当
it
時
up.
初めて交換したんじゃないかと思う。
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
あったあったあった。なんかこれがね、多分ね、多分下の影が違うよね、やっぱりね。
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets.
はは。
Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of.
はい、ちょっと待って、じゃあさ、俺いきなり、ちょっと裏をかきすぎて成功ルートに行けてないっていうか、下、今のロードは何？
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit.
あ、まあそりゃそうだよね。地下がラストじゃないだろうけど、中盤とかだろうな。あの奥やばそうだから、一個ずつちょっと、こういうの覗きあんで中とか見れたりするんだろうか。
Barbara was a child star for 2 years, until America grew out of it. Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
バーバラちゃんは、なんか、おばさんとかなのかな。
The last time I was in Edith Sr.'s room, I was 10 and she was painting my portrait. My Grandpa Sam spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother, Calvin. As a kid, I just assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms you weren't allowed inside of.
どこの家にもっていうか、覗き穴ってなんか、部屋の意味なくない？
Molly always seemed like a girl I could imagine being friends with, if she hadn't died in 1947.
47年で戦後すぐだよね。さて、行くか。
Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan. But I had no idea what was behind that door.
普通の部屋。
Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead. I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole.
さっきの
Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting.
47年に死んじゃった人だったっけ、無理って。
Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage.
これがね、なんか不気味だな。さあ、日記かな。1997
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat.
お腹がすいたってことだよね。これ47に戻ってるよな。どういう趣旨のゲームかあんまりよく分かってねえんだよな。アドビ魚さん、金魚だね。
The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
なかなかの勇気じゃない。ネズミの餌食って。だってさっきこれトイレね。
I kept eating and eating.
歯磨き粉食うの
I ate a lot of things that night.
いや、そんなもん食べてお腹壊すよ。で、これ、この子がちっちゃいからかな。なんか、全体的に遠いんだけど、高いんだけど。
Then I heard chirping outside my window. Mom, can I come out now?
Sweetheart, it's late. Go to sleep.
もう寝なさい。出れないってわけか。鳥さんの音は聞こえる。
My Halloween candy was all gone.
All gone. 鳥さんがいますよ。
It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her.
危ないって。
And suddenly,
猫になっ
I
た。
was a cat.
早い。お、ジャンプできる。こうか。
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared. Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
あー、なんかすげえな。チリンチリンチリンっていうのは自分のあれか。
I jumped and I almost got her. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up. And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
おいおい。こうか。ちょ。ぶつかる？あ、ラビッツね。ラビッツがいるね。そのラビッツを捕まえろと。ラビッツ。
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger.
不思議な世界観ですね。大きなラビッツね、これの次。
A mama rabbit.
大きなラビッツ。あ、ママラビッツ。あった。難しいな。連打したらあかん。ちょっと待って。1000回。ママラビッツ消えた。
She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. Then suddenly, I was a shark.
いや、サメは水の中にいかないといけなくないですかね。なんかシュール。転がりる転がり。
I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever.
もっとお腹がペコペコ。で、お魚さんがなんか食えと。なんか俺ね、アザラシ
I
だな。
wanted fat, juicy seals. I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good.
さっきのアシカさんだな、血みどめだ。もっと大きなアシカがいいけど、このアシカめっちゃ多いよ。あれ。
Grabbed on tight. When I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed. Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere.
人を食えと。
I was big, but I moved real quiet.
なかなかエグいくないですかね。
I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
いい声だな。怖えな。何せ悩むなく言ってしまったけど、サイコパスチックだな。入れない。開いたな。
After the last passenger, I was still hungry. And to cross the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have. So I swam towards it. I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
パイプの中。トイレだな。
I got closer and closer.
あ、我が家か。僕ね。
All my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to feed, and we both know I will be delicious.
私は本当に美味しいって。怪物に食べられた。
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have. This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly.
Next is?
I spent a lot of time in Great Grandma Edie's room. Edie knit me a new pair of gloves every year, just in time to replace the old ones.
車椅子の人か。
Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him. Her room was like a museum. Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother. When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't. One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity. I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time. Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious.
モグラ男か。
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife, Kay, left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace.
そりゃピンク色だって。あ、じゃあ。
For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune. Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house. Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
Secret in the bathroom. このバスルームの
There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book. Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down. From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me. I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin.
ああ、はいはいはいはいはいはいはい。晩年は二人で過ごしてたみたいなね。
And that he never talked about him. I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom, and he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again, and he wasn't.
ブランコから降りれないのですが、こういうことか。よーし、最大速
I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
カルビン、あれ、あいつね。これとサムね。
Sam! Calvin! Dinner's ready! Coming!
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible.
一周しろってことやな。
Maybe if I hadn't said that.
Calvin! I'm not gonna tell you again!
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up. Then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother. The day he made up his mind to fly, and he did.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
この一族、ボンボン死に方が雑ないかな。
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
そりゃそうですよね。
Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
すごいよね、こう俺がどこに行くべきかをさ、この文字の向きで教えてくれるってわけや。バイオハザードもびっくりの仕掛け部屋やな。
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies. Mom must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left.
とりあえずここまで来て一回戻ってこれるようになりましたと。ということで今日はここまでといたします。ありがとうございました。